video is part of the fundamentals training for staff for Google training covering Gmail and the features that you can do with Gmail. So one of the first things that you can do, and this hopefully is a refresher for a lot of the stuff because we did this at the start of the year, but just to kind of go over some things. First thing that you can do when you log into your Gmail account is you can set up what do you want to do with make it customized for you. So again, our setting wheel changes depending on what Google product we're in. So when I click on my setting wheel here, I can change from 3 different views of density. I like the comfortable. It makes it scroll a lot farther, but I don't like to see my messages all sandwiched in there. If you can change it to compact, puts them really close. I can also go in and configure my inbox. So I have different sections of my inbox that and where they go. I do just a primary mailbox, and I have mine sorted through labels, which we're going to get to here a little bit later. Last thing really that I can do is I can set up and do some themes. I change my theme periodically just to make sure that I've got something fresh to look at when I'm looking at it. And I can go into greater detail in my setting menu, setting up everything from how many conversations do I want to use? Do I want to have, this is a great feature that I think everybody should have, which is the undo send. If I have this enabled, maximum amount of time that you can select is 30 seconds, but then I'm able to unsend a message after I've sent it within 30 seconds. So let's say maybe I was agitated and fired off an email and didn't really think it through, and then my level-headed prevailed, and I say, you know what, I really shouldn't have sent that message. As long as I catch it within 30 seconds, I can unsend it, or maybe I catch a typo or something else. I like to have it just as a safety net so that we've got this. The other thing, we talked about this, you either love it or hate it, is conversation view. When you're in a thread and conversations come up, it might not be by the same day or same time, but it keeps all of a conversation topic together. Where this can get a little troublesome is if you get an email sent that doesn't have a subject line. Any email that doesn't have a subject line will be lumped into a conversation of no subject. And so then they would all be kind of linked together. So that can get a little tough if you've got somebody sending you emails that doesn't have a subject to it. But I like the conversation view, and you've got a lot of different features and things that you can do here. We are going to talk about the stars between the lists and how we change the stars. I use a 4-star system is kind of what I've got. Stars that I've selected here. You have other options that I can pick to do that, and we'll look at here some of the things that we can do. If you go to your starred emails, these are emails that I've got that are starred, that I've got different things that I need to do, but you can easily star an email. We're going to come down here so we can see some stuff. So this is my mailbox here, and so what we've got here. So then what we've got here is I can look at my mailbox. It just took me a minute. I want to make sure I didn't have any student information in here on this set. So if there was something that I wanted to star using my star system, I would simply star it. Then that would mean if I get things in the future from Edu Application Portal, this is what I submitted for my Google Certified Educator training. So then I can go through, and if I click rapidly, it changes what I want. If I leave it for a second and it's set, then I can unstar it. So I can give it a whatever kind of a star that I would like to do. The other thing that I can do with my Google training or with our Google Gmail is we want to learn how do we search for and filter things. And so your search box up the top is a great tool. I can search for people that sent me an email. So I can search for anything from Steve Kovach or Steve Anderson. I can search by subject if I'm looking for the celebration. I got to make sure I spell it right. Celebration of awesomeness. It will search for anything that's by the celebration of awesomeness. Or one of the things that you will be asked to do is filter messages, or how do you filter messages. So if I go down here, I can click on the drop down arrow, which gives me more. I can search by a particular mailbox, all mail, sent mail, inbox, starred. If I know where it's at, but I can't really find it, I can search there. I can do again from a user to a user. I could do a subject line if I know the subject word has the word. If I'm looking for something that has the word math in it that came with an attachment, I can choose the attachment. I can also say, I was sent an email about math. I don't know exactly when. I know I got it in the last week. So I do within 1 week of, and I can put today's date. I'll search for any email that I received in the last week that has the word math in it, regardless of who it's from. So we can look for it that way. So those are some great ways that you can search for your search your messages so that you know where they go. The other thing that we want to start using, or that you can use to help you, is what would be known as labels. So this is an email that I got from the education portal saying that I've gotten that I've done some stuff. So what I want to do here is this is going to be part of my Google certification. I haven't got a label for it yet, so I'm going to create a new label, and I'm going to call this Google Educator. All right, so this is going to be my Google Educator. So I'm going to create that, and so I've just created a new label for Google Educator. So any email that I get from this Edu application portal is going to have the filter of Google Educator. I can filter other things that I want to. When I go in here, I can look at my different labels that I have got. And I've got here my Google Educator label that I've got on the side that I just made. So once I've created that, what I can do is, you can see on one of these that I've done is I've changed the color. And so I've got my tech tool, but I've also nested underneath my tech tool another label that if they're selling me something, or if it's from a particular company, Shake Up Learning, or something that I'm looking for. So with my Google Educator, I can go here and I can change the label color of it. So it'll help me recognize it even a little bit better. So my Google Educator's got this orange coloring to it. So when I go back to my mailbox now, I can see by my labels what I've got if I'm looking for something. So then I can search for mail based on that label conversation. You can add as many different labels as you want. I can add a math label. I can add a science label. I can add red team, blue team labels and color code them correspondingly so that I can get that. And, one last thing that we're looking at actually two things left that we need to talk about. Using the translate feature. By default, our district sets our Gmail set up for English. But if I wanted to set up and use the translate feature, this is a great option as a teacher if you're communicating with a family that English is not a primary language for them. It works on sent mail, so there's different tools that we need to look at if you're doing the translating before you send the email. But say I've got a Spanish-speaking family at home, and they've got their Gmail set up, and the primary language for their Gmail is set up as Spanish. So if I send an email to them and it's in English, it will automatically populate with, when it recognizes that the email is in a language other than the primary language of the mailbox, it will pop up and put the translate feature at the top here. Because my email box is set to English and I've got an email in English, I don't see the translate button right off the top. So if I go down to the more, I can go down here to where it says translate message, and I can choose how do I want to translate my message. So my message, the originating message is in English, and I want to translate it to Spanish. And so this would translate my message to Spanish for me. So when you've got your families, encourage them if they need to communicate with you, they can communicate with their email primary language. This is under the translate. This is a list of the languages that are supported by Google Translate. And I can change the language to the native language of my parents, and so we can get that. So then if I go back to my mailbox, and I have got it here, so I've got my education portal here. So now you see I turned on the translate. So the translate tool will always be on here for translating of the message. I can pick my language. If I hit the translate message, then it would translate, and I could view the message. If I want to, I can turn this off. So if I've turned on my automatic translation, and so then I could go back through, turn off my automatic translation so that I don't have my automatic translation features on there. So don't automatically translate for English. I've turned it back off. So now I no longer have the translate feature for this email. So I've got that back here, and should be in my turn off for English. So that I want to turn this off for English. There it is. So now I've turned off my translate features. Next, we're going to talk about how to create groups from contacts or organize your contacts a little bit better. So when you go to which typically would be your mail, which is by default when you open up your Gmail, you can select here. I've gone in now to contacts. For purposes of this, I'm starting us in contacts so that I'm not showing any information on student emails or anything like that. So I've got my contacts. So this is a little confusing at first, but what are my contacts are I have to add somebody to my contacts as opposed to being a part of our directory. Our directory down here has got everybody within the Albert Lea School District. So this is what, when we're searching for emails, this will load up all of our emails by everybody in this district. So, but then I go to my contacts. These are people that I have added to be a specific part of my contacts. So then if I have got here, so what you can see is I've created, and it looks a lot like the labels, I have created a group called Tech Integration. So when I email Tech Integrationists or send out an email to Tech Integration, it would go to all of the Tech Integration teachers in the district. So the first thing that I would do is I would add a contact to my contacts. So they're already in our district email, but I'm going to add Mr. Kovach, and I'm going to add Laura Longen. So I'm going to add both of these individuals. So here's why. So once I've added them to my contact list, then I can go in and I can select them. So I'm going to select both Laura and Steve. And now I'm going to see, I've added the two here. So now I can, a no button has showed up, which is my group button. So now I'm going to go in here and I can create a new group for them. And so I've created a group here and I call this group my Kid Crusher Hockey Team. So I'm going to add them to that group. So this is a group that we're setting up. I know that they play hockey. And so we're going to set up and challenge kids to play ice hockey out at these outdoor rinks when the weather gets cold and the rinks are nice. And myself, Laura, and Steve are going to take down the 6th and 7th graders of Southwest Middle School in hockey skills. So I've created my new group. So if I wanted to make another new group or I had of people belong to different groups as well, and I can have, you're not only just a part of this group, but you're also a part of this group. But I simply would come down here to where it says create new. I give it a new name and I can call my groups anything. So I can have a red team group, blue team group, Siberian group. I can set up and make all of those different groups of things that I would like to do. If I wanted to, or if somebody left or was no longer part of it, or they switched teams or something happened like that, I could simply just uncheck and I could take people out of here. So if I added somebody accidentally to my contacts, but I just want on the directory, not in my personal contacts here, I could update that as well. So I could change that. And this is a real quick tutorial on how to add groups or create groups from contacts using Gmail.